Hello, this is the second small tutorial in getting the KISS library used to develop Java applications for beginning developers of Java. So here we're at the website for the project. The address is github.com, github.com / wmcavoy, WMACEVOY. That's my user account at GitHub. And then / KISS, KISS. That is the address of the project. So there's a README file, which you can immediately see, which gives a bit of an overview of what's in that project, which may or may not mean much to you if you're totally new to this. But what we do need is the actual library. It's a jar file. And so to get that jar file here on the README, I can click on that and wait a moment. And it will download. It's a very small file. I hit keep, and I have a jar file which I'd like to incorporate into a NetBeans project. So I have the jar file downloaded into my downloads directory. So now my next step is to go to the NetBeans IDE, which I've already opened, and it's over here. Okay, so here, let me delete the old one and start fresh here. And so here is the NetBeans IDE, and I'm going to start a very basic project. So here, File, New Project, and then choose Java and Java Application, and then Next. And then for the name, I'll choose just Hi, H-I, and you don't need to have a created main class, so you don't have to check that box. If it is checked, you can uncheck it. That'll introduce things that we don't need to talk about. And the use dedicated folders is fine, just left unchecked also. So finish. Okay, so I have a project now created in my NetBeans, and I would like to now put that jar file close to, that is in the same folder as this project, and then import it into NetBeans so it's aware of the library. So in order to do that, I'm going to scroll back to my browser. Here, sorry for that. And if I click on this down arrow, I get Show in Finder. So here's the file that I'd like to get there. If I right-click on that file, I can copy that file there. And now I need to know where those projects are installed. So by default, in your home directory, and this is true for all versions of NetBeans, just the home directory of your user account, you should find a folder called NetBeans Projects. And if I look in there, for each project that you've worked with, there should be a corresponding folder. So here's the Hi folder corresponding to the project that we just did. So I'll create or open that folder by double-clicking. And then in here, if I right-click, I can create a new folder, and in all the Windows and Linux and Mac OSs, I'm using Mac in this one, the steps for browsing through file systems is essentially the same. So create the new folder here, and lib is the common name for library sources, so I'm going to make an lib folder inside of my Hi project, like that. So I've got a folder for my libs. src is the source files, which we'll create in a moment, but right now we need a library. So in Hi, I have a lib folder, and now I'm ready to jump into, and now I actually need to put something in my lib folder, which is the library I just copied. So if I double click on that, here's my empty library, right click, paste item, and there it is. So KISS 011 jar file is now in the lib folder, which is in the KISS project, or sorry, the KISS jar file is in my lib folder, which is inside the Hi folder, which is inside, the NetBeans projects, which is where NetBeans manages all the projects that the IDE essentially is aware of. So I have that jar file in the proper spot, and now I need to have the NetBeans tool be aware of that jar file. So that's my next step. And so now I go over to NetBeans here, and here is the view of the project from within NetBeans. So under here is library, so I choose that under Hi. So here's the Hi project. There's the libraries. I right click there, and here is add jar file or folder, so I choose that. And now I need to browse to that folder. So in here, it should show a route that goes essentially down to your home directory, wherever that is. And then if you need to, you browse. So I'll start from there. So if I'm in the home directory for this user account, then they're alphabetical NetBeans projects. Hopefully there's my NetBeans projects. And then in there, here's Hi, that's the project that we're working in now. In there is a lib folder, so there's where I just dropped that jar file. And then finally, there's the jar file. So I choose that jar file there. Up here, reference as, relative path, you should see lib/kiss in the version, like that, and then choose. Okay, so this Hi is now aware of that jar file, and I can see that it is aware because now if I change this arrow to a downward arrow to look at the library components of the project, there's that KISS jar file. So it's aware of that KISS jar file. So the next thing that needs to be adjusted is understanding how to run this project, because the running of the project is managed by the library itself. So if I choose the top level project here, just the Hi project, right click on that and look at properties. Then the last adjustment is here under run. Here it asks what main class, so in what way you want to run this, and in our case all we need to type here is kiss, K-I-S-S dot util dot run, the R is capitalized, so KISS dot UTIL dot capital R UN, so kiss util run is the main class, and OK, like that. Okay, so this is roughly the empty vessel now. So Hi has all the things we need to build a little KISS application. So let's build one. So the next thing we need is an actual source file, one that we wrote, and we will write it from scratch because now it's such a simple thing to do once we have the smaller pieces in place. And you can copy this folder into other folders if you need to. So let's add a new one. So right click here under the project, new Java class. So we're going to create our little application, and we're going to call it just app, A-P-P, like that. So location is source packages. There is no package, just leave that blank. That's actually important to leave blank, and then finish. So we now have a little what in Java is called a class, which is a blueprint for something called an object. Just in the way you think of pencil is a blueprint for lots of things out there in the world called pencils. In this case, app is a blueprint for perhaps running this application many times and making a bunch of versions of this app. So we will then ask that this class be aware of the KISS library, and then we do that with an import statement. So import static kiss dot API dot star semicolon, like that. So this one line will introduce to this one source file the features of the KISS library, so we can take advantage of them without having to type their full-length name, which runs against the idea of keeping it simple. So again, just you need to add this one line: import static kiss.api.star with a semicolon afterwards. The yellow is the ID warning you that we don't really take advantage of that, but that's about to change because we're about to do something down here in the application. So to run a program, to have it do something, we just void run. So this app is called a class name, and in the class name you can have inside of a class you can have methods. So this app has a way to run, and when it does run, here is what we'd like to do. We'd like to just to say hello. So print ln, and then parentheses, double quote, hello, like that. Okay, so from syntax details, it's just println, and then parentheses, and then double quotes, which, yeah, you can't use any different kind of quote, otherwise the Java compiler will not understand what you mean. Then a little message, hello is a fine one, semicolon like that, and that should be it. So notice the yellow of the import went away because I now have actually taken advantage of that import with this println, and I'm ready to try it. So everything's set up. I press the green button and wait a moment, and down below there's my message. So when I run this app, I get hello, and that is the hello world, which is a little cheer moment. We now have written our first Java program using the KISS library.